Hi, my dear Astro family. Well, I'm back with another video. Today we are going to be discussing the Saturn Jupiter squared for each of the rising sign. So I rarely do this because it's loads of work. That's one of the reasons. The second reason is that my experience is that people are just going to be clicking on their rising sign and sun sign, and that's it. And they miss the very important information, which is the whole breakdown of how the Saturn and Jupiter square, for example, plays out. But because this is going to be around for almost 2 years, I decided to break it down for each of the signs. By the way, if you are curious, for example, about your lunation report, for example, what it might bring for your sign then, or you want to be knowing how it plays out, the most important aspect of the week for each of the rising sign, then you might want to be considering joining my Patreons, the membership on my website, or you can even do that on YouTube as well, because I will be starting to do them actually from the 17th of January onwards. Now I'm recording this video on the 9th of January because on the 28th, I'm going to be having a surgery. So I think I'm going to be out for a couple of weeks, not going to be working as much. I'm not going to be shooting videos and so on. So I'm trying to work ahead as much as possible so that I can give you at least 10 videos in February. A couple of announcements I would like to make. This is my birthday week. So basically, I've decided to give you 50% discount on any of my courses, webinars, and even my personal readings. Now, I only have got availability from April onwards for readings. My schedule is really tight at the moment. So book your space as soon as you can, because I'm sure April and May will fill up very quickly. This is one thing. The other thing is that I've posted some great webinars and courses for the first and the second quarter of the year so that you can get them in a discounted price, such as we're going to learn about how to read a solar return chart. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a different webinar that I did, for example, a couple of years ago, because I was speaking about the patterns in the solar return chart. Now I'm going to be giving you practical tips of what to focus on in a solar return chart. But I also will be launching, for example, a course on predictive techniques. I've collected all the predictive techniques what Western astrology might be able to use, and I'm going to be presenting that to you. And I'm going to show you how to bring them together. Now, some of these lectures are pre-recorded and some of them will be live, but you can get it in a discounted price. So you might want to go for it and so forth. But just look around on my website. I think you will find something very interesting for yourself. Now, let's get started with this Saturn and Jupiter square. First of all, as I said, I made a video about what it means for the collective and how to work with that Saturn Jupiter square. So I'm not going to talk about this in length. I'm just going to be jumping onto the rising signs. But please listen to that video, because it has got so much information that you do not need to check where your rising sign is and so forth. You're just going to have to work with the planetary energy. So this is one of the very important ones. Now, the other thing, but I'm going to be doing a bit of a recap on this though, okay? So, for example, one of the key elements with Saturn and Jupiter is that Jupiter will want to expand the Gemini part of your chart. Mars will be there too, actually, in August. So it will be very hyped up. We will probably feel very invincible in a way. And then Saturn is the planet that says, no, nope, no time, wait a little bit, patience, do not run ahead. So Jupiter wants to have a growth, improvement, new possibilities, to open up new doors in the Gemini part of your chart. Often what happens is we have got way too many possibilities, so we become slightly bit scattered. Or we are trying to do too many things at once, and then Saturn says, no, that's not going to work. We just need to be more organized. We need to pick a couple of those we can commit to. Jupiter overpromises, and Saturn says, it's not going to happen. So Saturn wants us to plan, to meditate on it, and pick the right one. Now, of course, with Mars and Jupiter, it is going to be quite hard for Saturn to control these two, because what Mars and Jupiter does or do together is that they are just hyped up. They are extremely confident. You cannot tell that couple that this is not going to work. This is something you cannot do, because they really believe that they can do anything. So because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces and Jupiter is in detriment, this is telling you that the growth is always possible if you ground yourself a little bit, but it comes with an element of sacrifice though. And that would be important to mention. Sometimes the opportunities that is ahead of you with Jupiter in Gemini and Mars, it's looking too good to be true. So therefore, you do not consider whether, whether what was the catch there. The Saturn will be asking you to check what might be the catch. Now, this was a very brief summary. So if you want, I'm going to be posting a link above or in the description box. Go there and check it out, because this is a super cool video, in my opinion. Now, also remember that this is more of a general picture for you of what it brings for each of the rising signs, but you would need to be looking at the natal position of your Saturn and Jupiter also. So, for example, I'm going to give you an example. Imagine that Saturn is transiting my first house and Jupiter will be transiting my fourth. So I'm going to be giving you ideas of what it might be about. But I'm going to be considering, when I do that personally for myself, that Saturn comes from the 9th house natally and Jupiter comes from the 10th. So it's something to do with teaching and something to do with work or abroad, for example, and government, foreign countries, right? So I have to be keeping those keywords in mind so that I know that Saturn is going to be limiting, for example, something within myself in regards to foreign countries, okay? And so on. So, but let's get going. Aries, dear Aries, it's going to be happening in your 3rd and 12th house. So Jupiter will be transiting your 3rd, Saturn will be transiting your 12th house. Well, I'm just going to give you some pointers. It could represent the loss of your brain. What I mean by that is that a little bit head over heels, kind of falling in love, for example, with someone, or just being too optimistic that you forget about reality. You forget to check data. You forget to check the information right ahead of you. It's kind of like not being able to see the tree from the forest. Not being able to communicate clearly. It could lead to elements of misunderstandings, for example, with your siblings or with your neighbors or anyone in your surrounding, pretty much. Maybe it's about not being able to focus. Maybe you are not able to focus on your daily activities. Now, when it comes to daily activities, that's something to do with 3rd and 6th house matters anyway. There is a slight difference between them too. For example, with the 3rd house, we are commuting, we go to the same grocery shop and so forth. And then the 6th house, we do the same routine, for example, at the gym, or we do the same style of work. Anyway, both are somehow connected to routines, just there is slightly bit of difference there. But the bottom line could be that you are unable to focus on your routines. It also can indicate from a psychological point of view that you are going to be feeling a little bit imprisoned. And even though you are surrounded by people and you get to know people, but you are not getting to know the right quality people somehow. Maybe people are going to be talking too much. Maybe you're going to be talking too much, but you are unable to make those deep connections with them. It can talk to you about paying attention to any contractual agreements. It says slow down, make sure you read them through properly, because it might be too good to be true. And then you go ahead and you sign it. You know, Saturn in the 12th house is, I mean, it could also indicate just make sure that you block out all the scammers in your life, something to do with your secret enemies. So what are you going to sign? What do people want you to sign for? Also, this can indicate, by the way, that you are your own enemy when talking. Maybe you're going to be slipping up. Maybe you are going to be sharing way too much about you or your ideas, and then unfortunately it gets stolen. One of the worst case scenario could be is a loss of a sibling, unfortunately, or mom might be ending up in hospital, because the third house is the health conditions of one of the parents. And of course, 12th house is hospital. But also you can be losing your phone. You can lose a contract. Someone can hack your emails, for example. Maybe there is an element of jealousy, which is possible with this too. So your partner is going to be checking up on your phone, or someone is going to be stealing your PIN code. Watch out for anything to do with you know, when you're entering your PIN code on your bank card and so forth. And just ensure that you're not clicking on any type of dodgy websites either. Remember, Jupiter rules the 12th house here. So this could talk to you about wanting to study something spiritual. Like that spiritual curiosity could come up quite significantly for you. It can be always on your mind. You can actually get a little bit obsessed as well. By the way, your siblings can become obsessive towards you too. Maybe it's about renewing your relationship with your siblings or with your neighbors or just with your local community. Also, it could possibly indicate, because 12th house is bigger expenditures as well. So bigger expenditure due to a car breakdown, or your car gets stolen or somehow damaged too. You know, for example, Jupiter will be in the third house, which is one of the houses that is connected to accidents. And then when Mars will be there, it's kind of like we are in a rush. And Saturn is going to tell you to slow down, hit the brake. So unfortunately, this is also a accident combo. But it can indicate that unfortunately, you might be breaking your foot. Also, the third and the 12th house is something to do with mental activities. It might be the fact that you are going to be full on ideas. You do not know which one to pick because all of them are really inviting. But it can talk to you about mental stress, frustration, depression also. And Saturn probably will want you to drop some of your ideas because they're not going to work. And it wants to save time for you. Okay, dear Taurus, so Jupiter is going through your second house and Saturn will be going through your 11th house. Now, second and 11th together is very much about finances. So there is some type of possibility to grow money on trees, but then Saturn is going to tell you, nope, let's slow down. So I'm going to give you some scenarios. Second house is something to do with your income. 11th house is the salary. So imagine that you are expecting a pay rise. You are expecting that more money is going to be landing in your pocket. But unfortunately, for some reasons, it's not going to be happening. or not as much as you expected. And of course, it can indicate that it's hard to swallow. And then when Jupiter and Mars making the conjunction in your second house, you just shut the doors and then you walk out. And is it going to be easy to find a job while Saturn is going through your 11th house? Surely this is also telling you to look at the ways you connect to money. So what is your relationship to money? Do you have any money blockages you need to be overcoming? But thirdly, do you have got a tendency to spend way too much? Because then Saturn says, slow down with that. For example, this could indicate that a friend of yours wants you to lend them money. Are you sure you can do that? You know, Saturn is in Pisces. Often we are forced to make sacrifices. We badly want to help with Pisces, but Saturn says we can only stretch ourselves as much as we can. Let's not go too far with that too. Maybe it's about you wanting to make money from internet or social media matters. This would be an indication that your channel is going to grow, but not as quickly as you expected. So you would need to be learning some patience. Of course, Jupiter will be feeling very optimistic, but it could also indicate that the world or people are not necessarily ready for you yet. So just be patient, keep working. Also, it might be that you are going to be on a shopping spree, buying something new, like something to do with assets, for example. And then Saturn is telling you, do you actually need them? You have got a couple of them already in the cupboard. Can we not do something with that? Also, it might be that it raises some type of jealousy from your friends. For example, that you have got the latest Samsung. Or going back to the salary part, maybe imagine situations where you are getting pay rise and then your co-workers do not. So it creates maybe a funny atmosphere. Or people get pay rise, but you don't. Of course, Saturn is ruling your career department here. Remember, that's the ruler of your 10th house. So it also can indicate that maybe you get the pay rise, but how much do I have to work for it? You know, you can feel overburdened. Maybe I didn't have time to spend money, actually. So there is something to balance out here with your work as well. And simply, it could indicate that the company you work for is going to be extremely busy around that time. Now, also watch out for food. 2nd and 11th house are succeeding houses, and the succeeding house is so much to do with the body and the food intake. 11th house is fake food or confectionery type of food, or well, fast food pretty much. So imagine that you have got a very busy life at the moment, but you have no time for cooking. Therefore, you're going to have takeaways all the time, which means that you're going to increase your expenditure on food. And Saturn says, are you sure you want fake food? It's not healthy. Pisces. So let's cut back on that. Let's do that with moderation, actually. That would be the most important, because it might be leading to some weight gain as well, while Jupiter is going through your 2nd house. Okay, dear Gemini rising sign. So Jupiter will be in your 1st, Saturn will be in your 10th house. Well, work is going to be a major topic for you, surely. So what do I want to work? Am I on the right path? Can I actually start something new? I want to start something fresh completely. Maybe I feel outshined, burdened, burnt out at work. And I just need to find the right field, the right opportunity. Then I'm your man, because I can help. One of my favorite branches of astrology is a vocational course and how to make money. So you might want to be booking a session with me. But surely what could happen with Jupiter is that you have got loads of opportunities coming around. I just do not know which one to pick. So I need to be sitting back and then measuring things up a little bit. Also, this could talk to you about to make sure that you do not overpromise things. For example, with your businesses, make sure that your scheduling system somehow is up to date. Make sure that you are not trying to chew on more than what you can cope with. Because obviously, Jupiter is just seeing the possibilities, right? But Saturn says in your 10th house that it's too much. We are not spending enough time at home. We have to be resting as well. It's Pisces. We have to learn to recharge our batteries. And that becomes extremely crucial with this. Of course, this is huge, right? Because whenever a planet goes through the first house, this is always just telling us that something significant is going to be happening. So many Gemini will be changing job, in my opinion. But also this could talk to you about that it's okay to postpone things. It's okay to rest. It's okay to have a downtime. And you don't need to juggle between things because it's just going to make you burned out. Cancer rising sign. So it's going to be happening in your 12th and 9th house. Well, of course, Jupiter is going through your 12th house and then Saturn is in the 9th, just to be precise there. This is also these houses are connected to mental health. So this is going to be something you need to take care of. It could indicate just having way too many pessimistic thoughts, mental problems, mental frustrations overall. This is telling you to let go of any of your negative attachments and belief systems. What did you learn from people? Maybe your parents, maybe your neighbor, maybe your siblings, and so on. What type of energies did you pick up from them? Because they need to go into the trash. It tells you that your own thoughts are your enemy. Maybe someone told you something when you were a child. So this could be talking to you about some spiritual treatment, for example, such as hypnotherapy. This is very much about rewiring your thought patterns. Also, this is telling you that, does it really matter what other people think of you? Like what type of a mother I am, and then I have to become a people pleaser, for example. It tells you that what matters is the way you look at yourself. Also 12th house is something to do with, it is called the house of secret enemies, but pretty much the secret enemy is something that is at the back of our mind. So often we're going to have to learn, 9th house, how our subconscious functions in certain type of situations. Maybe some of you will be publishing a spiritual book. That could be great. Maybe some of you are working, for example, on some lectures that you want to be hosting or presenting to the world in a way. Maybe you are going to be a lot more interested in psychology, and then you're going to want to learn. Maybe you're going to go to a foreign country, for example, to study something new. Maybe you are going to be actually relocating to a very far away place to kind of start completely new. It is telling you to do or to have certain type of spiritual practices, whether you are going to be meditating, or whether you are going to be, I don't know, studying astrology, for example, every single day. Schedule it. It doesn't need to be too much. Do not get obsessed with it. right? So the 12th house is the house of obsession, and we can do that. Saturn would say, no, 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 we don't get obsessed. We just do half an hour each day. That is probably more beneficial than sitting over books for 6 hours. You know, this is kind of like a combination that you cannot read transits without knowing what the planets mean. So have a structure, have a plan, because Saturn will be testing whether you have got the right concept about certain things. Yeah, maybe some of you will be relocating. Maybe you're just going to be having that increased desire to be away. Maybe you want to be going somewhere, but unfortunately you run into some visa matters. A few of you might be losing a severe trial case as well. And also this could bring in some health issues within the family, especially in regards to parents. Leo rising sign. So Saturn is in your 8th house and Jupiter is in your 11th. Now, again, the financial houses are getting switched on here, but the 8th house is something to do with shared resources or my partner's money. So imagine that we are trying to save up some money, or typically with Saturn, we're saving money, right? And we become a little bit more analytical about our own investments, or we look at how much money we tend to be spending, how much money we want to put back into the business, for example. It might be that we want to be ending up with a business partnership. We want to make profits. You know, it might be about that there is a business and then we are trying to cut the costs. I don't know, let's switch off the lights, for example, at the restaurant at certain times, or do we need, I don't know, 10 cash registers being open when, you know, 2 is more than enough, and so on. Maybe it's that your partner will want to change job. How is that affecting your social circle, for example? Maybe the partner wants to be making an irrational financial decision, and actually you are Saturn who is trying to warn him that this is not necessarily a great idea. We should not be spending money. Let's say one of you might want to be having a bigger expenditure and the other one does not feel good about it. Unfortunately, a couple of you might experience a death of a close friend as well. It could also indicate that a company you work for is going to go busted. Maybe it could indicate that you want to be partnering up with a friend of yours, and then you guys are applying for a loan, for example. Maybe also it can indicate that the friend is asking for money, let's say from your partner. The partner lends them money, but they forgot to mention it to you. So there's an element of a secret going on with this. Or maybe you have got this brilliant idea about a business opportunity, but you do not have the money for it. And then your friend will offer you a hand. But then is it a good idea to accept it? This could be crossing your mind as well. And also, it could actually bring opportunity for your partner to have, let's say, pay rise, but it is affecting your intimacy department. Some of you, unfortunately, most likely will figure out something is not working in the relationship department either. So this could bring up jealousies. This could bring up a possessive nature within the relationship. And also it's possible that someone is going to be cheating on someone. Maybe we just kind of have got that feeling that it is happening, but actually it might not be happening. Dear Virgo rising sign is going to be happening in your 7th and 10th house. So Saturn is going through your 7th house at the moment. So one of the questions here is that how does the relationship barriers are affecting your social status? Is that because one of you is working way too much and not enough time with the partner? Maybe one of you wants to have a family, wants to settle down, the other one is unsure. Or maybe you are just expecting your partner to pop the question, but actually he's not doing that. So why is that? Does he not love me? So there could be an element of self-doubt with this. Maybe it's actually that not seeing eye to eye with your partner's new job opportunities, for example, because the partner is not spending enough time at home. Maybe you want to be changing job, but the partner does not necessarily want that because it's further away. For example, the commuting Gemini takes a lot longer and so forth. Promotion again for one of you, but it might mean that I have to be doing extra hours, overtime, or the commuting takes longer, or it might even include some elements of travels. Even relocation could be coming into the picture as well. So the lack of time in the partnership could be a problem here. And therefore, the lack of bond and the lack of intimacy, of course, come in. So how we are going to be finding balance. Now, this also could indicate a little bit of a family conflict, or the family is getting involved in the relationship, which we might not be happy about. Okay. It could also indicate that the partner, for example, wants to move and we do not. So we do not see eye to eye with that too. Maybe actually it also can bring up situations where parents are lending money to us and then they feel that they can get involved with our decision-making process for something, for some reason. There is an element of entitlement going on with this as well. But also this is about what type of relationship you've got with your mom. Is that healthy? Is that not healthy? Do we need to heal the relationship with our parents? And also this could though indicate that some of you will not get along with their boss. Maybe actually there is a company restructuring going on, a change of boss, for example, and you guys are not seeing eye to eye. Dear Libra, this is going to be happening in your 9th house and 6th house. So Jupiter is going through your 9th and Saturn is going through your 6th house. Well, this could indicate, for example, that you would like to work as a healer. You would like to be participating in spiritual healing. It could indicate that you're going to end up working abroad. Maybe you just want to start a new life abroad. Maybe you want to be just escaping from your daily routines and then you're going to be spending some time somewhere else, maybe with a friend of yours and so on. Maybe you want to be studying something abroad that might be connected with nutrition or sport or spirituality as well. Some of you will be, unfortunately, having exams, and maybe you're going to have to repeat them as well. Maybe you are going to be working at a university, but at the same time, this is surely about the opinions of the co-workers. So do I like the co-workers I'm surrounded by? Do I like their work as well? Unfortunately, this could bring up some topics with the people we work together, and then of course we're not going to like the way they work, so it could lead to some element of frustration. And Saturn is actually telling you to bite your tongue. Jupiter and Mars is not too sure about wanting to bite the tongue though. So this could indicate that there is going to be a work change eventually. Maybe it's all about having to work way too much, and then you feel like you have no time for your studies, for example. It could also be the fact that you are very optimistic that situation is going to get better, for example, at work. But unfortunately, further burdens are somehow coming in. So how much do you have on your plate? Do you feel that you're getting burned out? Because it could be affecting your health situation as well. If you have got health situations, this could also talk to you about, unfortunately, that it's time to tackle it. Maybe you're going to have to go to a retreat. Maybe you're going to have to go to a foreign doctor where they do maybe a better job somehow. Also, this could indicate that you just need help to remain more organized somehow in your life. Are you a little bit stubborn about asking for help or bringing in a cleaner, for example, to help you with your daily routines? Because often Saturn is not necessarily, able to cope with all this. Maybe there is a financial consideration with that as well. Also, this is definitely about a test in your religious and spiritual belief systems also. Maybe you're going to have major interests towards something, and then you're going to end up buying new courses. And then Saturn says, hold on a minute, we need to slow down with this, We need to be structured. Let's try out things that we've already learned. Let's put them to the test, and then let's combine it with the next chapter. And then again, let's review. Because this is how the exams work, right? And then eventually we get an exam, and then we fail or we pass. And ultimately, your clients are going to be the professors who decide whether you fail or pass. Yeah, sorry about that. Scorpio, this is going to be happening in your 5th house and 8th house. Shall I just, start with the negatives? This could talk to us about a death of a child, abortion. But also, it could talk to you about finally getting pregnant. Maybe you have been wanting to get pregnant since 2020 and it didn't work out. And maybe you gave up all the hopes. And now all of a sudden a baby is going to be coming around. But also, it could indicate that you already have got babies and the baby is going to be a topic. Maybe the babies are growing up and then you are having to spend too much money on them. How am I going to tell them that we cannot do that? How are you going to tell them that, you know what, your studies are way too expensive? So you are trying to calculate something with money, how to actually, this could also indicate that it's time to teach your child that money does not grow on trees. Also, maybe you want to do something fun. You want to go on a holiday. You've always wanted to try something new. Maybe it's a lifetime opportunity to go and, I don't know, be in Europe, for example, for 2 weeks. But your finances are not necessarily allowing you as much. So how to kind of solve that problem, for example? Maybe it's about your partner who manages to get more money. But again, it could talk to us about a pay rise or some stuff like that. But it's going to be limiting somehow your sex life, for example. You feel like the intimacy is not there anymore because I'm always tired. I work 16 hours and now I just want to be sleeping and so forth. Or maybe you guys are not doing as many fun stuff as you used to. And then obviously it leads to some type of self-doubt. Maybe it's about a promotion for one of you. Maybe someone is going to be a lot more moody in the relationship. Maybe, unfortunately, this could also talk to us about having a child and the intimacy department is lacking somehow within the relationship. So how to kind of get back to how it used to be before. Sagittarius rising sign, Saturn is going through your 4th and Jupiter is going through your 7th. Now, it might be that we want to be finally in a relationship, but maybe my family is having a say in it. They do not agree with it. Maybe family wants to make the relationship somehow impossible. Maybe it's due to traditional reasons, for example. By the way, this could also talk to us about that you are going to become a parent. Maybe the relationship dynamics in existing relationships, of course, is changing. It could actually increase the desire to kind of be with someone, to move together with someone. Maybe it's also about relocation as well. I want to be moving to a bigger home, for example, but we might not see eye to eye. Maybe we want to be building a house, but we have got too many options. Also, some of you will be moving together with their partners. This is a testing period as well, because it might not have been something you did. And let's see whether you pass the exam. Some of you, unfortunately, going to be moving out from their partnership as well. So this could talk to us about the end of relationships too. And therefore, it comes with an element of relocation as well. Right? It would also talk to us about introducing, for example, your partner to your family the very first time. But from a psychological point of view, the partnership is, how does that trigger you emotionally? Whether you are single or married, is that satisfying? The 4th house is about satisfaction. To a certain extent, it's about emotional fulfillment. Excuse me, emotional fulfillment. So one of the questions that pops up with this combination is that, do you get what you want from the partnership? Maybe you just feel that the partner is not supporting your emotional needs anymore. And then you want the relationship to improve. You want the relationship to grow. But then Saturn often asks, is it too late now? And I would say that it's not, it's never too late, right? You're just going to have to work hard on it. Capricorn rising sign. So Saturn will be in your 3rd, Jupiter will be in your 6th house. So this could bring up topics such as health situation of your siblings, as well as your mom, unfortunately. Also, this could talk to us about being accident prone. So watch out for anything to do with lungs and so on. This could also talk to you about having to give up smoking, for example, getting rid of some of your bad habits. Maybe it's about increased workload, but then, or at least we have got a desire to increase, let's say, the number of people we work with and so forth. But something slows down, such as, I don't know, the payments are getting in slower because people are late with their due date or something like that. So it could leave some frustration there. Also, it's so much to do with everyday activities as well. So again, do I have time for everyday activities such as going to the grocery store and so forth? Not so much, because I've got an increased workload going on. Maybe it's the fact that you badly want to be helpful towards someone, but how much can I stretch myself? You know, it's kind of like maybe you do a charitable cause, or maybe you go and then pick up someone's child every single day. And you would like them to do that for you, let's say on a Saturday, and then they say no. And then we get disappointed by it. Or it's just having way too much responsibility, and then it does not allow you to do your daily routines, maybe such as running in the morning, for example, or the gym time, and so forth. Also, this could indicate increased commuting to work. Car can break down. I mean, the sixth house rules mechanics, and the third is car. So do I need to buy a new car? How much is it going to get? How much is it going to cost to get it fixed? You know, this is a longer transit. So unfortunately, the car can break down at least 3 times within the 1.5 year period. Also, this is telling you to change the way you think. It is going to be spotlighting some of your unhealthy attachment to your negative behavior, as well as your negative or just your bad habits overall. And we all have got bad habits, right? This is very much about, in a way, being mentally overburdened, or just questioning whether have I given enough to others? Do I receive enough back? Do I feel like a slave in a way? So there is again an element of renewal here. Aquarius, this is going to be happening in your 2nd and 5th house. So Saturn is going through your 2nd and Jupiter is going to be in your 5th. It's something to do with finances. So Saturn is trying to slow you down when it comes to your expenditure. And of course, Jupiter would love to do all the fun stuff in the 5th. So we're going to have to cut back on those a little bit. Having to say no to your hobbies, desire, wants, holidays, and sometimes to your friends as well. How rational are you when it comes to your spending habits? This is one of the questions. Having to say no to children could be a topic also here. Maybe you just had a child that, of course, is going to cost a fortune, right? Or maybe you are having a child that goes to school, right? So let's say the university. Maybe the child wants to be moving out, and then you want to be helping them, kind of like setting them off in a way. Maybe it's very much about wanting to invest money into your own business. Maybe you're going to have great business ideas, but you might be tight with the money. Also, watch out for food intake, especially with sweets. I mean, 5th house is something to do with the sweets. Maybe actually you want to be eating healthier, but when you go to these shops and then you look at the prices and then you are like, how can I afford having healthier? I do not wish to spend, I don't know, $20 on a loaf of bread and so on, right? So, but also we need to be watching, or at least Saturn wants you to cut back on how much you eat. So let's lose weight in a way. The 5th house is something to do with sport. So it would actually indicate that you are going to start a sport activity. But then Saturn says, be patient. You know, it's not all about running for 3-4 hours a day. Let's just do half an hour, but do that properly. And also, in what ways you're going to be boosting your confidence level. It tells you that to boost your confidence, you don't always need money though. And some of you will have loads of creative ideas, but at the same time, there is a creative block to it as well. So I just don't know how to start. Kind of like I know the end of the road, I just don't know how to make the first step. And finally, let's talk about Pisces rising sign. So it's happening in the 1st and the 4th. Saturn is in the 1st and Jupiter is in the 4th. Maybe you have been trying to lose weight, but is that really what something makes you happy? Is that the reason for your unhappiness? Maybe some of you will want to settle down and some of you will just want to relocate. Also, Saturn surely tells you, let's have a bit more practical approach to life. You don't need to be traveling around like, you know, without any type of consideration. Let's have a plan for it. Saturn says, let's see things clearly. There is a reason why you do certain ways, that you are a bit scattered emotionally. It also could bring up things that I want to be alone, Saturn in the first, but then we've got all these family programs going on. So maybe you cannot find a quiet space at home. It's buzzing. There are always friends around, and there are always parties and so forth. And then I'm getting frustrated by that somehow. Maybe you are going to be renovating a home, for example, and it's going to be a little bit slower process as well. Maybe you want to be selling your home. Unfortunately, it might not be going as fast as you expected. Maybe you would like to be seen more hardworking by your family, but your family is not necessarily giving you that feedback you wanted. Also, this could talk to you about having a child, wanting to have a child, but how does that limit me? Because obviously your life is changing once you have a child, right? So somehow it is limiting me in a way. Maybe you feel like you have to be making sacrifices for your own family. By the way, it could also talk about some of you will lose at least one of their grandparents, unfortunately. From health point of view, this would talk to you about watching out for inherited illnesses. Often you feel a little bit weaker with this combo. You want to be spending a little bit more time at home. It even can represent depression as well. Maybe it is telling you to pull up some barriers when it comes to some of your family members, maybe actually draining you out somehow. Also, this could talk about just feeling lonely. So that's why Saturn would like you to be alone, but Jupiter will invite people around because you feel lonely. But then the solution is, what do I actually need not to feel lonely? You know, maybe you just feel lonely because your loved ones are in a different country and I want to be with them somehow. Okay, so guys, this was just briefly what this combination will bring to some of you. Remember, you're going to have to look at your natal chart as well. Where does Jupiter and Saturn come from to get a clearer picture? Well, see you soon and happy birthday to me. Bye-bye.